Hi everyone, thank you for coming to this Lunch and Learn. I'm really excited to be presenting this a little bit expanded from the first Lunch and Learn on historical ecology. Hopefully you got a chance to go back and watch it, or you'd already seen it, but that's where I cover sort of an intro to georeferencing, what is historical ecology, what you can do with it, and then we did deal with the 1944 Soil Conservation Service aerials back then. So that's some really good data, and if you want that kind of data, go back and watch that Lunch and Learn. And today we're going to be talking about the General Land Office surveys from 1840s. So that's like much older data, and the best part about that, especially for Central Florida, is you can get information about what it was like before the drainage, if you're in an area that was heavily impacted by drainage, which is a lot of Central and South Florida. So I'm sorry again about my microphone. I realize this is an outdoor recorder, so it's pretty nice. It's got good audio quality, but you can see when I laugh, sometimes I'll breathe into it, and so it makes like a, and so I'll get a podcasting style indoor mic with like a pop filter, but I don't have the budget for that right now. So just if you could just live with it, that would be great. All right, please enjoy the Lunch and Learn. So cute. Plugin called QuickMap services. Plugins, manage and install plugins. Sorry, I turned off the sound to the media source. My bad. I thought I was turning off my microphone. So what I'll do is, before I restart that, is I just want to pitch the conference, which I'm working pretty heavily on. So please consider registering for the conference. It's going to be really great. We have a lot of absolutely fantastic speakers, and that's May 20th through 22nd. So 2 full days, $50, and excellent networking. We're really juicing up the networking this time. And then, of course, we have a Florida Native license plate that is very camo, and it will help support our mission and programs, including me. Okay, thank you for your patience. Sorry about that. I get a little nervous when it's just me doing this stuff. So, okay, going back to the video. So QGIS, unlike Google Earth, which you may be more accustomed to, or Google Maps, or Bing, or some other service, QGIS does not have aerials just built in. Like, you can see the interface here. There is, there's no map here. Say you create a new project and it's blank. There's no map in there. There's no aerial, there's no road map, there's nothing. You have to get it yourself. So the best way to do that is a plugin called QuickMap services. Plugins, manage and install plugins. The plugins there was in the top. And then I had typed it in because I just uninstalled it for you guys to show you how to install it. So you search for QuickMap services, and I just pressed enter and it installed it. So here it says easy to add base maps. So true. So since I just uninstalled it, it remembered my settings and it had the contributed pack. But you guys will need to go into settings there and go over to more services and get the contributed pack so that you can get all of these services that I have. Otherwise, you'll have a pretty limited set of map services. So now we can add Bing. We can add Bing Satellite. Okay, that's nice. Now we know where we are in the world. Here's Florida. Zoom in. I'm scrolling in my mouse to zoom in. Or you can also use the plus button here to zoom in. Okay, so there's Split Oak. And then if we want to see OpenStreetMap, which is my favorite, it pops it below. So you see the layers are ordered just like any sort of graphics editing program. So if you want to move them, you just grab and move. So now this layer is on top. See, both layers are displaying because I have checkboxes, but now OpenStreetMap Standard is on top, and you can see all the mapping work I've done in Split Oak. So then we need to get to the General Land Office, the GLOW. I call it the GLOW, you know, woo. Okay, so if you just search GLOW survey, it's the first one is glowrecords.blm.gov. Okay, yay, that looks like it. Oh, that's ugly. So they're having some problems right now with their website. See, GLOW technical difficulties, or experiencing technical difficulties. You click the links, you click survey plats and field notes, and you get nothing. Okay, so let's type in GLOW survey search. And I have this in the in the description for this talk, and then also it's in that resources page that I sent out on the emails. Okay, so here we have the search, and I tested this out ahead of time. I know it works. So here we have search documents by type, search documents by location, search documents by identifiers. Okay, so go to surveys, because you don't want to search land patents, and then go to Florida. And if we could remember our township section range, so township 25, range 31. Township 25, range 31. Okay, and it's 25. Okay, so their website is clearly not working super well. So in order to get it to work right, I had to click search documents and then hit surveys, and then see this bottom area switch. So what I was dealing with before was I was going back and forth from patents to surveys, and it wasn't changing. So that was really weird. So here we are in surveys, and then so it's 25 south, 31 east. Okay, so you have to make sure you put in the Florida, because I didn't do that before. And so here we have a 1848 survey. We have boundaries, or is it subdivisional? Okay, so here. Okay, so clearly they're having some trouble with images at the General Land Office. So let's try the Mr. Sid. All right, so there you go. It's right here. Let's get it. I downloaded it twice for you guys. Let's go to geodata. Let's make a new folder. GLOW surveys. Put that there, and okay, so let's see. Okay, so we can see it, but it is, where is it? It's at Null Island. So Null Island is this place that all the geographers talk about because it's where lots and lots of data in the world is, because it's 0, 0. So obviously it's nowhere. It's in the middle of the ocean. But there's nothing there. So let's get this somewhere. Okay, so how do we get from here in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean to your sections that you're interested in, the properties that you're interested in? Okay, so we can see that we have section numbers here, and we have our section number here. Okay, we can see that this is all township 25 south, range 31 east. Okay, so we just need to find section 3. Okay, so how are they numbered? They're numbered from right to left, from east to west, starting in the top right-hand corner, in the northeast corner. Okay, so section 1, section 2, section 3. Okay, so this is Split Oaks section right here. So here we are. So what do we need to do? We can go back. I right-clicked on the PLSS layer, and I hit zoom to layer. So it zoomed to the full extent of the section township range map for the state of Florida. So basically it zoomed out to the state of Florida. Now, if you want to make this a little bit easier. So you can create spatial bookmarks for specific areas. So for example, if we wanted to bookmark this area, we can go project bookmarks, new spatial bookmark, and we can say split oak, say map canvas extent. So that pulls the map canvas extent, and those units are whatever units your projection is in. So you can look at your projection information by clicking this thing here with EPSG 3857, which means we're currently in a pseudo Mercator projection, and that'll tell you, that's the number, and you can just say cancel, or you can click OK as long as you don't change any of this stuff. And so basically that's in meters, right? Oops. Go away. Okay. EPSG here, pseudo Mercator, units, meters. Okay, so that tells us what units it is in. Okay, so you just click map canvas extent. It was already that way, and then save. So now you have a project bookmark to go back to when you're trying to georeference your map. So let's zoom back to the middle of the ocean. Say, okay, we're in section 3. So raster, georeferencer, add. So we're going to go to wherever you stored your geodata. To make this easy, let's download the PLSS layer for just township and range so that we can just georeference corners really quick. I'm just putting it in the same place that I had it before. All right, so here we can see, here's 2531. So basically all of this, Cyrils, Narcoossee, and then down to Nova Road. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our georeferencer. Add a point. I'll have to redo that one, sorry. So this one's a little tough because it's in the middle of the lake. So we're just gonna go yay. We're not doing a published paper on this. Okay, so we got to check the settings first. Oh, okay. Transportation type. Let's try linear first. And we say where we're going to put it. Okay, so here, and sometimes they say modified. I like to put ref at the end just because it's referenced, it's georeferenced. I like to save the GCP points and definitely use 0 for transparency because then you won't have any sort of black or white or anything. And you can generate a PDF report if you like. So let's see, township 25, east, range 31, south, report. Okay, so then it tells us how bad our residuals are. Really bad. Okay, so one thing about georeferencing is it'll do this math. It'll say, how well do your lines fit together? In this case, they fit together really badly. So if they fit together really badly, what you need to do is try a different transformation. Still bad. Now, if you get into the polynomials and you're doing really bad still, then your dots are wrong. Your geolocations for your points, like you selected the wrong features to connect one thing to another too. In this case, we're not super worried about accuracy because we just want to see what it looked like. You can re-georeference if you start working with something that needs a bit more accuracy. Okay, so we got 7, so 7 is okay. You like to keep it below 5, but sometimes you can't. And let's see how that looks. Oh, it didn't load in QGIS when done. Did I not? Oh, okay, so there we go. Let's do it again. Make sure the checkbox, load in QGIS when done, is checked. Okay, so Georeference window is there. Bam. So here we are. We can see how well it does by, let's get rid of the identify. I just double clicked on it, and then you can change the opacity by looking at the slider, by moving the slider here. So it's under transparency rather than symbology, and we'll just make it 60%. And how about we use the satellite? Okay, so we got a bit different situation going on in the lakes. Let's look at Split Oak. Okay, we've got that. You can also turn the layer on and off to have a look. Okay, we've got that nice wetland there. Now it looks like they didn't really catch that, the surveys didn't really catch that swamp went down. It was probably a marsh back then, but that it kind of goes down like that. But they only had to walk the section lines. So that's one thing you need to remember. The surveyors did not have to walk any quarter sections. They didn't have to make notes if they didn't want to. And one of the things we're going to discuss later is the main surveyor does make notes as he's walking along here. So if you learn how to read the notes, which is what we'll cover in our next session, is they'll say, okay, started at this corner and went right through a swamp, which is what they did here. Okay, went through a swamp, a bagel. Okay, and then maybe encountered some high pine land, which they say maybe that's a sandhill. And this is not a sandhill, it's a scrub ridge, but anyways. And then might say, into navigable wetland. I haven't looked at these notes in a while, but so I'm just saying they'll be walking along and making notes depending on the surveyor and how good they are. And then, of course, they have these graphics here about the wetlands. So as you can see, this developer is currently developing right next to Split Oak, and this all used to be wetlands here. And take it with a grain of salt, because sometimes they took a little liberty in their wetlands description. As you can see, this is pretty high and dry now. If you've ever been out on a field trip to Split Oak with me, that's pretty dry, but this area is a little bit on the modified, in the modified way. Anyways, that is how to georeference, how to sort of roughly georeference a survey plat. And if you want to turn that opacity back up, you can turn that back up. So, new shirt, new day. Some of you can probably see the problem that I've created for, at least in Split Oak situation, and probably for your project site as well. there's no guarantee that your site is going to be 100% in one section, or I mean in one township. You might cross a township line, and then then you have all this decoration here on the outside that you have georeferenced. So I kind of taught you a way that's a bit in a hard place. So now we're going to go over and crop that in my preferred program is GIMP. So I'm pulling up GIMP. Let's see, close surveys. Okay, so I have the SID file here that I'm going to work on. Oh crap. Okay, so in order to do this, we're going to need the PDF version of this because you can't edit SID files in GIMP. Well, that's what happens when you search patents. Can I zoom in a little bit? Oh, look, so much easier to read. Okay. So looks like their website has gotten a little happier, and I spoke too soon. So the PDFs are pretty heavy, and they take a long time to load. Okay, so in order to clip in GIMP, it's really easy. It's just this crop tool. It's also, I believe, Shift-C. Let's see. Anyways, you just go like this. Bada bing, bada boom. Kind of do like that. Zoom in a bit, and then if you need, see, it's not quite square. See, it's not quite square. So what we need to do is handle transform. Let's add some guides. So I added a little guide so it can give me some like, oh hey, how do I make this thing square? Oh, I just put that like right on the line there. That doesn't look too bad. See, it's kind of wavy there at the bottom. This paper was a little bit old. Okay, so a handle transform is pretty fun. Just kind of zoom in quite a bit. We could actually kind of straighten these little guys out too. You can add as many handles as you want. Oh, too many handles. And they do snap to guides if you have snapping to guides turned on. Let's go down like that. Wavy, wavy. So this is a nice way to get some transformation going, some flattening of the paper and dealing with image irregularities that you don't have to manage, that you don't have to do in QGIS. So I'm just going to talk while it's doing its transform, because this is really heavy. A really heavy file, and it's going to take a while to transform it. But when you're when you're transforming things in QGIS, the math and the way that it's doing the how are we fitting this flat thing, this image, how are we fitting this image to the world, and the world being whatever transformation, whatever projection you're using, that you're basing your when you go, choose from map canvas, right? So you've got that georeferencer open, and then you're moving into the map canvas. QGIS is trying to fit that flat piece of paper onto the world that is calculating, the geoid that it's calculating in QGIS. And so when it's doing that, and there are irregularities in the map, in this particular paper map, that aren't due to your own errors, they can throw off your residuals. And so the cleaner you can get in the paper, the cleaner you can get before you bring it into QGIS, the better. So with that being said, let's do a little more handle transforming, huh? I'm just checking for stuff that's kind of outside the line. See, that's a little outside the line. So it didn't like that. So with the handle transform, you have to have enough sort of, how do you say, things have to be anchored in such a way that it's like if you can be all over the map, like you can have like 4 anchors in the corner, that's the best. So if you're looking at like, oh, you have a map, but the only cities or roads are in the corner, that's a really bad situation to be in. And so in this particular case, obviously we can georeference right to existing public land survey system lines that we have data for. But in other cases, when you're working with aerials and you're trying to pick out like, oh, was that road here back in the 1800s? I mean, no, there weren't very many roads. So you can kind of get stuck. Like I just got stuck doing a handle transform here in GIMP. So anyways, that looks pretty good. And so basically now we need to georeference this PDF, which I won't re-show you guys. Okay, so now that you have this looking a lot nicer, you can just crop to those guides that you created. And then enter crops it, bam, and now you have a completely clean map. So if you need to stack maps on top of each other, you're good to go. Okay, so save. Well, I guess we don't really need to save it as a XCF, as a GIMP file. You can just save it as a plat, replace. All right, so now we have a nice clean general land office survey, and we have it over our whole section. So this is really nice, but how are we going to use this information? Obviously, we can see that this is East Lake Tahoe. We can see that it was bigger, right? It's a lot bigger back in the day, even though it probably did not have those angles. Anyways, so as you can see, this is really not enough information to work off of. I mean, it's informative, it's helpful, but it's really not quite good enough. So we'll need surveyor's notes, and we'll need the aerials from the 1940s. And if you can get your hands on it, it's very helpful to get the soil map. So they did a soil survey. The Soil Conservation Service did surveys throughout the early 20th century in Florida. So for example, I had an Orange County soil survey from 1920. And I was talking to Adam the other day and about this historical ecology lunch and learn, and I found one, a soil survey for him for Duval County, but of course the ones that they digitize for the USDA, let me show you what those look like. Yeah, so you want to get here. It looks like it's a very plain website, like old school, and you see it has the different dates of the soil surveys. So if I'm looking for, let's get on to my area. So we have Orange County, 1922, right? And I can click on that, and I can see the manuscript, but the manuscript, well, it has all these descriptions of all the sand, all the types of sand and the natural communities. It's got this nice little accessibility statement, but what it doesn't have is the really nice map. The really nice, it's actually a big fold-out map. So it does show you which ones have soil surveys. So if you're looking at this, you can see which ones had, at the time of 1922, which areas had been surveyed, soil surveyed. So if you're on this map, you have a good chance of having some really nice data to supplement this 1840s era data. Okay, so I'm getting ready for my wedding tomorrow, so I don't have time to really expand upon how to make this general land office data better, but in the next series we will talk about getting these soil maps and getting the survey notes, as I described earlier, where you have the surveyors walking those lines and they're making the notes that turn out to be really useful depending on the person who's doing them. The guy who did the ones for Orange County and Osceola County, he was pretty good. And so they're very useful. And so these are my could have been better photos at the office in Gainesville, and you can see it's actually there. It's really pretty. These are like really pretty maps, and you can see I clipped them and I saved them in GIMP, the XCF files here, and the maps are just so gorgeous. Sometimes a little broken, but they're not digitized anywhere that I've been able to find. So basically, you have to do it yourself. Now, I have seen that some of them are in libraries, so you may be able to do that if they are, in fact, the actual old school paper maps. So, and then before we finish up, I'm going to show you one last step to make this a little more useful. And so you can compare this to, you can compare your old land cover data which basically is what the survey data is. We want it to be. It's not actually like fantastic land cover data, but we are using it as land cover data. What we're going to do is find existing land cover data. So the state of Florida has paid for people to interpret aerial imagery from certain periods of time, and so that is available as polygons with information about them and information about natural communities. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good, so let's get into that. Okay, so that data is called the CLIP. No, it's not called CLIP. It's called the CLC, the Cooperative Land Cover Layer. So let's see. Oh, there's a cooperative land cover. All right, here we go. 3.5, November 2021. Thank you, FWC. Okay, so since I already have this layer, I'm just going to skip that step. So it comes in a geodatabase. So you can drag that geodatabase over to QGIS. It popped up another window. Okay, so it says, what are we going to do? We're going to add these multi-polygons to your QGIS map. Okay, so we add them. And there we go. Takes a second to fill out. And because these are pretty heavy. So here's split oak, and the best way to do this for right now is just to make that not solid, so you can see what those are. Now you could label them, and so this is where you kind of get into learning QGIS a little bit, where we're really interacting with layers. So here's how you label something. You have to pick the thing to label. It's not just going to be like, oh, I'm sure you want to label it with the name. Well, QGIS doesn't know that for you. Sorry, you have to know what you want to label things with. So this is a list of what is in the attribute table. So you can see I've done some calculations: shape, length, shape area, acres. So that's my stuff. This is data that I've used. But if you want to see what's going on, let's use our friendly neighborhood identify feature. So bam, we're going to hit identify. It's going to take a while because it's going to find it. So Scrubby Flatwoods, site, number, we've got numbers. So there's a whole crosswalk of what these natural communities are, and name. Okay, so it looks like we could label things either name site or name state. And if we want to see what the difference between those things are, we need to open the attribute table. Which takes a long time because it's heavy. It's a big data set. There we go. Okay, so I did it twice. I guess I know there's two ways to open attribute table, and so now it's slowly loading the features, and it popped that notification window into a new, into my other screen because I have 3. But since I did it twice, now it's being really slow. Okay, there we go. All right, so here we have, it's like a table. So, it is a table. It's not like a table. It is just like any other tabular data format that you could use in Excel. You open up Excel, you have a list of names, you have your list of members that you get from Shirley, Excel. CSV file, Excel. All right, so see, I opened it twice because I'm very smart. Okay, so we can full screen this. So I opened this just to see what's the difference. What's the difference between site and name site and state and name state? Now, sometimes in their geodata, whoever puts out this data will tell you that information, but whatever. I like to learn things the hard way. So I'm just going to scroll through this and see, okay, we're sorted by probably number. So what we're looking for is where are things different? Okay, here we go. We have state 2110 prairies and bogs, and then we have site 2112 mixed scrub shrub wetland. So there is a difference between how these things are categorized, and so for our purposes, it doesn't matter so much which one you pick to label your stuff as. You just want to be able to see what it's classified as now and what it was classified back then. So let's just click name state. I'm going to close that, open that back up. We're going to label it. Yes, we're definitely going to label it. And let's go with not state, because that's a number. See, it tells you, is it a number or is it alpha? Is it letters? Okay, so we're doing that. And, let's just do a buffer so that we can definitely see all those things. And that's going to take a minute to show the labels. Okay, so now you've got your aerial layer, you've got your labels, and you've got your 1848 map, or whatever year your survey was done. So now you get to, this is where the exploration comes. What are you looking for? What are you looking to find out? Do you have your plants in point format that you need to download from iNaturalist or from the way you're data collecting so you can compare? So this is where you get to use this data to your own benefit. And then eventually, maybe in part 4, I'll teach you guys how to save a copy of this cooperative land cover layer map for just what you want to do and adjust it based on your field surveys, which is what I did for my thesis. Oh, sorry, mic on. Okay, so how was that? Is everybody satisfied with their historical ecology experience? Before I get to questions, of which there are not very many, i.e. none in the chat, I wanted to show you guys the FNA crosswalk, the land cover classification system. So let me get to my screen, laptop screen. Oh, turn myself off. Okay, so there's me. And here's this, when you unzip that cooperative land cover layer and you get that geodatabase, you get this land cover classification revision. And so, my koala. And so it talks about, what they did, blah, 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 what their methods are. Okay, so here's these numbers that you might become familiar with when you're looking at these land cover classification. So, there you go. All right, and then I also wanted to talk briefly about what else you should read if you're really interested in this. Reed Noss wrote Fire Ecology of Florida and the Southeastern Coastal Plain. When you're looking at ecosystems, probably if you're not talking about drainage changes, of course, in many places you're talking about drainage changes and changes in fire ecology and disturbance history. And so this can help you think about what might have happened on your site. Mirage is a lot about water and the state of Florida. Very informative and not too long, so pretty manageable. Greg Thomas of Heartland Chapter mentioned The Swamp. This book is absolutely fantastic. Has some choice words for some not very good, still around environmentalists. And so this is Michael Grunwald, and it's absolutely fantastic. And it really is a lot about drainage and can give you a lot to think about. And I actually, researched a lot of the sources here in the back. I mean, the source list is absolutely just massive. I mean, it's it's like a good portion of the book is the notes. So I would say I basically started my research with this book because it was so easy to read instead of being like, oh, I don't understand that word, or I'm not sure about the concept, or I'm not sure how to do that in QGIS, or should I be using GRASS, or, do I need to use ARC? What data format? It's like, this really gets you into the mindset of what happened to Florida, and then you can imagine what might have happened to your site. And then, of course, Ewell's Ecosystems of Florida. When you're looking at these historical descriptions, which we'll talk about more next time, they'll be talking about like high pine land, and Bartram will be talking about different ecosystems. And so the more you know about what a healthy ecosystem looks like right now, the better you can interpret the surveyor notes, which we will talk about whenever I get around to doing the next one. And then the last one, which I must still have packed, I'll move it over to the screen, is the Florida Natural Areas of Education. Oh, I brought the wrong one over. Yeah, you should check this is not a book, this is a website. This is FNA maintains really fantastic ecosystem data. So if you go to the species and natural communities here, you go to natural communities information, you can see reference sites that you can go visit to understand what really good looking natural communities look like. And then they have a guide. So they have little short accounts. So high pine and scrub. See, you got that high pine verbiage. And then they're just PDFs with descriptions, species lists, really fantastic. And they do talk about, sometimes they talk about soils. Yeah, so they have their own crosswalk. So crosswalk is a term you kind of got to get used to. It's this equals this. So if Myers and Ural, right? So if Myers and Ural here says it's high pine clay hill, what does the Society of American Foresters say it is? Okay, they say it's longleaf pine. Okay, but what does the Florida Land Cover Classification System, that's what FLUX stands for, what does that say it is? So these are very, very useful, and you'll end up with a lot of them downloaded to your computer. And the references are very good in case you're interested in specific natural communities. And then here is the book that they produced, extremely gorgeous. I have it somewhere, probably still in the box since I moved. I have the hardcover. It's really gorgeous gorgeous book where you can get more used to what these natural communities look like, and has great photos. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to the chat to see if anyone has any questions. Oh, Greg asked, what is Mirage? This book here by Cynthia Barnett, Florida and the Vanishing Water of the Eastern U.S., talking about our water crisis, Florida and the East. Let's see, no questions in here. So does anyone have any questions about, I think I pretty much covered that pretty well. You guys have already, especially if you were back on, you already saw georeferencing, you already know how to install QGIS. You can rewatch it if you have need to follow any of those steps. I'll see if I have any questions that came in by email. Nothing by email so far. So I wanted to do this on Zoom because I thought it would be cool to see you guys, and maybe you guys could turn on your videos and interact, or if you had questions, you could share your screen. But I'm really nervous about Zoom bombing. So, and also, if I'm going to share a video, I have to use this special technique to share a video through my through the software that I use, which I did just actually figure out for another conference I was working on. But anyways, maybe I'll try that next time if I can feel more reassured about Zoom security. All right. Yeah, you're welcome, Julie. You're welcome, Greg. It's good to see you again. Well, I guess I'll wrap it up. You feel free to send me questions by email. I know it is the weekend, but historical ecology, I'll probably respond to those questions, even if I'm, not technically working. All right. I look forward to the next ones, and I hope you guys do too. And I hope you guys are out there georeferencing stuff and learning more about your natural communities that you live in. or that you go survey. All right, talk to you guys later.